that's how you reach realism, I'm pretty sure.
That's one of the methods that I use for arguing in favor of realism. I think there's an empirical case for it, just based on certain trends and how morals develop over time.
Okay, I mean, go with whatever route.
You want me to go with whatever route? You don't have like an argument against moral realism? I can like throw out the ones you've heard a million times before, but we've like debated this topic plenty. I figure you'd have like a new counter argument because I don't think you'd be satisfied with your previous debate performances.
Yeah, okay, so I think the previous debate we went over like the realist intuition stuff. This time I might just like grant I want to see like where the arguments go after that, right? So like you could just like lay out the arguments that either don't have anything to do with that or just are further on that line. Like once you grant, like let's say I just grant the fucking we have moral intuitions that are realist sided, so yeah, that is somewhat some credence building in favor of realism, but it's not like completely good evidence, right? So what is the
well, it would be you would take intuitions to be good evidence. You just would say that the evidence that can be defeated by some larger piece of evidence, and you agree there's evidence in favor of moral realism. You agree, I'm guessing, that we shouldn't have there's no reason to have low priors on moral realism, or do you think we should have low priors on moral realism?
I think the only objection I would have is like maybe some parsimony concerns, like obviously it commits you to some like stance independent truth makers that like any anti.
Yeah, I don't think that's a hit to parsimony. So my model of parsimony is just that the number of independent bits you would need to represent a system or a world state, that's the parsimony of that system or that world state. So I don't think that it's an increase in the number of bits that are necessary there, because the kind of thing that I'm referencing when I talk about the good and the bad things is the thing which you in your model will recognize does exist, which is just when you feel pleasure and when you feel suffering, you admit that you acknowledge there's something different about those two experiences. The thing that I'm referring to when I use moral talk is the thing that's different about those experiences. Pleasure has the good fact about it, suffering is the bad fact about it. In all other respects are the same. They're both feelings, they both happen to you, they both happen to most people, yada yada. In all other respects, those two things are the same, except for the fact that pleasure is good and suffering bad. So pleasure feels good, suffering feels bad. That's the one thing which is different about that. You recognize that difference exists, and you recognize there's some cause of that difference that exists there. So you can say, like, you think that it's, when you say good and bad, you're talking about the analysis after the fact of the thing, right? But you're still agreeing there's some difference to be analyzed, and that difference is what I'm talking about when I use terms of good and bad.
Okay, so, I mean, the difference, well, okay, there's multiple things I'm curious about. Firstly, my independent fact, when you were talking about parsimony, what do you mean? Like, by the independence there?
I just mean that one thing does not causally relate to the other one. So one thing is not just supervening onto the other fact. So if you have...
So if you just like have some entity that is like something the view commits to, but it's just something that is entailed from like some other entity, then like the extra entity, it isn't really like something that would count against parsimony.
It's parsimony, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, your mic spiked.
Oh, let me see if I can just turn off my compressor.
Yeah. Also, like, I'm pretty sure like my background is weird. Let me know whenever it is. I'll just put it up. But yeah, so okay. Other than that,
do I not even have my compressor? How about that? Is it better now, or is it still fucked up?
Yeah, I mean it's better. Like spiking. That's fine.
I got shit. Let me just turn the fucking shit down a little bit. How about that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Alright.
Okay, so shit. Yeah, so you said like the thing that you would invoke is just like the fact that there's some distinction between pleasure and fucking suffering, and like that's the truth maker, like that's the stance independent.
That's the thing in the world I'm referencing when I use moral talk. So I'm not committed to any more things in the world than you are. So I'm saying I'm not taking a hit to parsimony because we both have, even if you want to go with ontological parsimony, we both make the same number of ontological commitments.
So okay, I mean, let's just go under the ontic account then. Wait, so if that is what you're invoking, then okay, like what is the stance independent truth maker? Like how do you relate the fucking pleasure and displeasure stuff to something out there decides like the goodness and badness of the action.
I don't think there's something that decides the goodness or badness. Right? I don't think that morals are subjective, so I wouldn't think that it's a decision that to be made whether or not something's good or bad.
Well, okay, yeah, my fault. Like something that like turns on or like causes some moral propositions about the goodness of something or like the badness of something.
I would just say that for X to be moral, that just means that X is it creates the best possible outcome.
Best possible outcome.
Yeah, and by best there, I'm just referencing well-being.
Okay, yeah, and right. So you would just say that like for X to be moral, X has to produce like what's the name? The most amount of well-being.
Yeah, I think that what you ought to do is to maximize well-being. Yeah. But I think that if you say like that person has other decisions that they logically could have made, that doesn't necessarily mean that person would have had access to that information, so they couldn't have practically made it. So when I say best there, I'm referring to like the practical modal scope.
Okay, so like
the modal scope of practical reason, yeah.
Sure. So practically the most amount of well-being that can be achieved from an action.
Yeah, so just like if somebody were to ask, like, could you have known all the facts? It'd be the sense in which you'd say, no, you couldn't have known all the facts. So you're limited, so you have to go based on expected value, because that is what's utility maximizing in this sense, would be to go based on expected value. That's the best you can do.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, so probably just disagree with like the whole pleasure shit being what guides thoughts and stuff. So what's the argument for that?
What's the argument for my definition?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't take definitions to be the kind of things that require arguments, but I can give you some motivations for it.
Yeah, like I'm not asking you for prove your definition true or whatever.
Well, yeah, like obviously you can't give an argument that like it concludes with the definition. That wouldn't make much sense. You could say something which is like an identity statement at the conclusion. Well, you want my motivations for it. The reason I'm motivated to use this definition is because of the fact that I think that it's good to maximize well-being. Right. So that's my motivation for it. That's not the same thing as the definition itself, though. Mm-hmm. So like definitions, I don't take to be the kind of thing that requires argument.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so you think? Well, okay, wait. To be clear, clarify. Like, I'm not asking for an argument for the definition in the sense that, like, it concludes with the definition itself. I agree with you, but the motivation. Okay, that seems kind of weird. So, say it's good to maximize well-being. By good, there, do you mean just like the same thing? Because that's kind of circular. Like, I don't know.
No, it's not circular because I'm giving you a motivation, right? I made it very clear that I'm not giving you an argument for a definition because I don't take them into the kind of things that require argument. So that's why it's not circular.
I just take a motivation to be like any kind of like reason in favor of some proposition. So
that's very strange. So there are a lot of things that are like motivations, but they're not rational, right? So they wouldn't be well reasoned. They wouldn't be reasoned at all.
I mean,
but somebody could spontaneously have the motivation. Somebody could spontaneously have the motivation to like beat kids to death. You wouldn't say they got a reason to beat kids to death.
I mean,
maybe you would.
When I say when we say rational, like I'm perfectly fine with adopting the view that like you can have your credences raised on like a proposition with like epistemically bad reasons, right? Like. I don't know. I could believe in God because I think believing in God gets me some money, right? So obviously, I could have like irrational motivations for God, but the motivation still like they're still motivating me for the belief because they raise my credence into belief or whatever, right? And as for like the spontaneous shit, I mean, I would usually think like it is in response to something. Usually, we would say it's irrational, it's completely arbitrary, probably because like it's in response to some like super menial thing or something that like to us just seems like super epistemically bad or something. Like it wouldn't raise our credences by anything, but it does raise their credence, like the credence of the person that was motivated.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the way that you're using these terms. I would agree with you. I just use the terms differently than you. But to maybe lock in on the moral talk there, when I use the term moral, I've given you my definition. Could you give me yours?
My definition of moral would probably be like I think subjectivist account. Probably be some subjectivist account. Like it would just be an expression of one's preferences, I guess.
Okay, so when somebody says that's immoral, you think all they're saying is I don't want that?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody said, man, I really want to do that, but it would be immoral, you would think that they're just like contradicting themselves?
I really want to do that. I think this goes back into the dispute that we had in the first convo.
Well, it may go back to the dispute, but just to clarify, what's the answer?
Yeah, the answer is no. I don't think they're contradicting themselves. It's just like they have like this lower order preference against. Wait, you said I really want to do that, right? Yeah, so they have a lower order preference for doing.
No, they're saying on net, I want to do that, but it would be immoral to do. I'm going to do it anyways. Like a person like that could say a sentence like that, and they wouldn't be contradicting themselves.
On net?
Yeah, like on net, somebody could want to do something while still recognizing that it's immoral to do.
Okay, so it's like if like some person out there does that, then I think like on net, then I think either of two things. A, it's just is like very unrealistic, or B, they just go by like some different.
There's some unrealistic people all the time. People do things and feel guilty for it. Mm-hmm. Right, so that's a person who wanted to do that. They even wanted to do it on net to such a degree that they made the decision. Yeah, and yet, while they're doing it, they feel actively guilty. It's just the guilt doesn't overweigh all the other reasons they want to do it.
Wait, I'm gonna have you repeat what you just said. Let me just say one thing. Okay, wait. For the guilty thing, that's probably like them doing it, or like when they made the claim, they probably just had this preference for doing the action, and then post doing it once they realize whatever consequences.
No, say they're doing it. Say they have the guilt while they're doing it. People do this all the time. You've never done something and like thought to yourself, man, this is wrong to do, but I'm gonna do it. You've never felt that?
I mean, wait, hold on. I'm just a second.
You've never done something you know is wrong?
Yeah, okay, wait. Usually, when I like think something is wrong, but I still want to do it, what I mean by wrong there is probably like it's gonna cause some sort of like, I don't know, societal problems, or like it's gonna be considered wrong by other people. But it's still like my preference for it still like.
By wrong there is you mean other people disprefer it?
Yeah, like I probably.
So you couldn't imagine wanting to do.
Go ahead.
You couldn't imagine wanting to do something that you think is wrong and other people agree that it's okay. Like you couldn't think of something that you think is wrong, but most people would disagree with that you might want to do. You think that's like a contradiction term?
So something that I think is wrong, but other people think is right?
Yeah, like something you think is wrong, that you want to do anyways, that other people think is okay. Like, say for example, you have some like some random obscure view. Everyone's got one, right? Their little pet view. Maybe you have maybe you think it's the case that I don't know, like spending your money on things other than charity is wrong or something. Most people are fine with that, but you might have like some different view. Like you've never had an experience like that where you take up that view and then you violate your own moral principle. You've never experienced that?
What happens? Okay, wait.
Well, I want to know if you've experienced that.
Yeah, so wait, I was gonna go over my experience, right? Like usually what happens is like with my thing, I trust my intuitions at the moment, right? So usually when I make decisions, I just go off of like what.
But this isn't really answering my question. I'm not asking you what you usually do. I'm asking, have you ever done this?
Have I ever? Well, I wouldn't be able to like recall off the top of my head, but like,
okay, that's fine. Look, I think that most people would be able to recall the answer as being a yes. But if you're saying you can't recall it, that means that you at least admit that in principle it's something that could happen.
Yeah, no, wait. That's what I was about to say. Like, okay, dude, I never said that like this isn't something that could happen. I'm just saying it's like unrealistic given my like.
Well, that's fine because your definition can't just. Yeah, that's not sufficient for your definition. Your definition would have to mean that it's always impossible because it would just be a direct contradiction with what you said morals are.
No, wait. My whole thing was, if it's unrealistic, then, I mean, if it happens in that, if it happens, then it's probably just going to be like some 1 in a million thing. If it's some 1 in a million thing, then I could just grant them going under some different semantic, right? So, like...
No, you wouldn't be able to grant them going under a different semantic because you invoked your semantic while understanding that scenario.
Oh, wait, so, like, the thing that I'm conceiving as possible is, like, they go under my semantics and, like, still do, like...
your sense of what the word morals means, right? You said that you could imagine a scenario where you want to do something, right? You've even, like, adjusted your definition a second time, right? And inserted that into the definition. Your new definition was supposed to be about what society generally believes. And then I adjusted the hypothetical to say, okay, imagine it's some obscure moral view that most people won't agree with. Well, now would you say this is still like impossible? And you said, no, it's definitely still possible. So if it's still possible, then both accounts you've given for moral talk is wrong.
Alright, so yeah, firstly, when I said it's possible, I was misunderstanding what, like, you meant. I thought what you meant was not that, like, not that I'm conceiving of some scenario where I go under my semantics and, like, have the whole conflict. It was just like,
oh, no, it was, because I was about you thinking it to yourself, so it had to be your semantic.
Wait, hold on. When I said that, like, oh, yeah, I could conceive of it, it's possible, I was talking about just, like, some person, some agent. I wasn't specifically talking about
you were specifically talking about you. We've made that very clear.
Yeah, wait, hold on. When I said, like, yeah, I can't recall off the top of my head, like, that's usually where I just leave it at. And then when I say, yeah, it's conceivable, that can happen, what I was talking about was just
the scenario I said is what you were talking about. This just feels like you're just being dishonest to weasel your way out of an obvious issue to you.
Wait, hold on. This doesn't matter. We should just, like, fucking go with stuff.
It doesn't matter, because I mean, there's a contradiction in your view.
Yeah, no, wait, hold on. Okay, obviously the contradiction point matters, but, like, this whole, like, meta shit doesn't matter. That's what I was saying. Yeah, so back to the contradiction stuff, right? So, yeah, what I was saying was, I mean, okay, it's my view, then, hold on, let me just think, so they, on net, grant that some action is, like, bad, and they still do it, even if they, like, can, agree that, like, let's say they consider the action bad, society considers the action good, and they on net consider the action bad, they still want to do it. Like, is that the thing?
Yeah, the idea is basically. So the idea is just is it possible that you, right? Is it possible that you could have a scenario where you have some obscure moral view, right? That you think is the case, and you recognize an action is morally wrong to do, but you want to do it anyway.
Okay, so, I mean, if, like, my kind of morality here, yeah, I would probably go against it being possible, because, like, hold on, if on net I decide that it's, like, immoral, then what that probably means is, like, on net, overall, I don't want to do it, so it just seems kind of, like, contradictory for me to want to do it. I know that's the contradiction you're invoking, but, like, from that, I'll just say it's impossible. Like, I can't conceive of that happening. I'm sorry.
You can't conceive of it happening?
Yeah, because, like, if the whole thing is, like, I want to do something, I acknowledge that overall I don't want to do it, but I still want to do it, to the point that, like...
No, you don't acknowledge that you don't want to do it. You acknowledge that it's immoral.
Well, yeah, no, but under my semantics, what's immoral is what I, like, on net don't want to do, right? Or on net, like...
Well, that's what you're proposing, but this is supposed to be an intuition pump against it, right? So this is, the idea here is supposed to be, you take a look at the scenario and you hear how the words are used, and you see, does your definition really feel like it's capturing that? Because with the definition you've espoused, right, the one you said you ascribed to, all of the things that you said prior would be, like, wildly in contradiction with each other. This current thing you said wouldn't be, right? This current thing you said is the thing that would make sense with your definition, but it doesn't really make sense on face value. Like, the rest of us, most people can acknowledge, most people can acknowledge that under normal moral talk, right, so when people are generally using the term, there's no contradiction in saying, yeah, I really want to do that, but it's immoral. There's no contradiction in saying, yeah, I did that thing, but I knew it was wrong. Like, people just use terms like that. People use moral terms like this all the time. Yeah, these are really common terms of phrase.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, okay, wait. To be clear, yeah, I don't disagree that, like, in common language, that's, like, super common. Like, people grant this being possible. Yeah, I don't disagree. But, what's the name? Like, okay, so when I said that, like, it's impossible, what I thought you meant was, like, okay, yeah, some dude says that, like, even though they know this thing is bad, they still want to do it, and what they mean by bad is literally, like, the subjectivist account that I was giving, because I thought it was, like, some internal critique. But if it's just supposed to be, like, some intuition pump against my view, then, I mean, it probably is just, like, they're not going under, well, whatever account of bad they go under, it's probably not some preference-based account. Or, like, it's probably
not, that's the point.
Hey, guys, I don't mean to interrupt, but I do want to give other people a chance to also come up.
Bro, what?
So that's 100% fair.
If we could wrap it up a bit.
Okay.
I'll summarize. Well, really quickly, I want to summarize my side here, and then I'll let you get the last word. I'll take it over, and then we can move on to somebody else wants to talk about.
Can we argue for slightly more? Okay, I'll just like steel man this way. I'll just say that. Okay,
well, look, just to wrap it up, can I go ahead and summarize, and then I can kick it over to you?
All right.
All right. Thanks. Don't give me the digest. So here's the quick summary of the issue I see. Right? If you're just using moral talk to describe something that everybody else isn't talking about, then you're really not even engaging in moral talk. You're just using the word or the mouth sound moral, right, while describing some totally different idea or concept. That's fine. It's just that's not really a meta-ethical discussion. That's just you invoking a term in a private way. And if you want to do that, I'm not going to object super hard. I would say that it's kind of like less useful and likely to lead to confusion among other people, likely to lead to them believing you think things other than you do. All of these things are virtues that I think a definition probably shouldn't have. Right? They're kind of like issues for a definition. And I think that generally when people are invoking moral terms, because they seem to use it in some way that's supposed to be motivating, I think they're trying to reference the thing which is fundamentally motivating them most, which is pleasure, suffering, true belief, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, kick it over to you. Get the last word.
Sure. So I'll just say like, slightly I'll go over like the thing that we were going over and then close. I guess I didn't know we had limited time. But shit. So, yeah. Okay. So when it comes to like the whole them using different semantics, yeah, I could just steal man and say that like even under the same semantics, yeah, they might have like conflicting feelings at some point, but I don't think that's a critique to like the view, because a lot of the times people judgments, even if you like take the maker to be some objective thing, they're going to be flawed or whatever, right? So I mean, like some flaws, or not even some flaws, some confusion, I think that's like a property that's bad, or that's like a flaw in humans. That's not a flaw like about the view. I think the view characterizes like I don't know, human moral talk better. I think she said like it leads to more confusion. I mean, I think it doesn't, because like if you just have if usually you just take human intuitions about certain actions or the morality of certain actions to be like intersubjective. Usually they're going to share the intuition.
That's a question.
I mean, wait, why?
No, don't worry. You can keep going on. I interrupted you. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, intersubjectivity, probably like super easy and perfect case for that, but like, yeah, I mean, there's not really else I wanted to say. I just wanted to go over the thing we were going over, but I guess, but yeah, that's it.
We should definitely do some additional debate some other time. I know the gauntlet format is kind of bad for these deeper discussions.
But I thought I would get like an hour, but damn.
Honestly, I think the full thing is supposed to last about an hour. I could probably like tack on an extra 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, if you want it to go on longer, it can. But I think someone named Poochie wanted to debate you on abortion.
Okay. Drag him up. Peace for calling.
Alright, thanks for calling.
Good talk.
Okay.
Is Poochie in there?
So apparently Nightclot's supposed to be next, but he's not here.
Nightclot not to anymore. Something about wanting proper behaviors. I don't know. He
doesn't want people to point out the fact that he said on recording that he thinks that people his age in his ideal society would be able to fuck 15-year-olds. Actual quote.
Yeah, the guy's a weirdo.
Yo, guys, hey, give it up for Poochie, guys. Hey,
Poochie. What's up, Poochie?
Give it up for Poochie.
All right, good luck, Poochie.
Guys? Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, what's up, Sinthe?
What's up?
Hey, nothing much. Just woke up from a nap, but I expected I took the opportunity to have a conversation with you on abortion. I hope you're pro-choice. I think, correct?
That's right.
Okay. I don't know how this is gonna work. Would I need to like present my position? Would you want to present your position, or?
Yeah, I'm done to do either one. So my position, in short, is that I think it's the case that I think that if it's not a person, then I think it's fine to kill it. I think personhood is a social fiction, but that social fiction is one that we define based on moment of first experience, and that moment of first experience instantiates personhood. Your personhood is gone at your moment of last experience. So that's my reason for why I think it's fine in the case of like a zygote to kill the zygotes. I would ask you, why is it wrong to kill a zygote?
Well, Okay, that's fine. So my position just hinges on the fact that it doesn't necessarily talk about personhood claims. It simply just says that like, we're going to have this human organism, presumably the fertilized that got conception. This human organism is going to be the later organism that is going to experience a future of goods, and this future of goods is going to contain things that us human beings, we intuitively value. For example, hopes, dreams, desires, relationships, friendships, all of these things. And for example, abortion, in majority of cases, is prima facie immoral to deprive this organism of this future of goods.
Yeah, so I mean, I take issue with the idea that there's an organism being deprived if the organism doesn't yet exist.
Wait, what? Can you repeat that?
I take issue with the idea that you're depriving an organism of goods if it doesn't yet exist. Doesn't really make much sense on face value. So here's an example, right? So say, for example, I was to say, I don't want to have sex with my mom, and then you said, well, you're depriving your potential child of a future life. Isn't that kind of fucked up? I would say, I'm not depriving anyone of anything. There's no future child. I'm not going to have sex with my mom. Would you say that I ought to have sex with my mom, or would you agree? You shouldn't fuck your mom.
Wait, what the fuck? Wait, no,
would you say you should not fuck your mom? Agree?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't fuck my mom in the
even though you're depriving your potential future child of life.
The thing is, I think when you say that there's no organism existing, or like a later organism existing, it's going to be different in the case of like remaining in abstinence than like, actually having this act that has already happened. There's a clear difference between a sperm that hasn't met an egg.
That's question, but I don't think that's true. So you want to make the argument there is, then go ahead.
The argument for
the difference.
For the
difference.
The difference between a sperm and a fertilized organism, or
no, the difference between deprivation in those two cases. How are you by abstinence not depriving future lives?
I'm not really understanding this question.
Yeah, so you're saying that an act of abstinence is not depriving a future life, right? I'm asking you, why not?
Because it's going to be the case that there's not an existing organism that you're depriving of.
Yeah, so what makes it the same organism over time exactly?
It's going to be its biological structure, going to be its functionality as an organism.
The biological structure changes over time. Its functionality as an organism changes over time.
Its DNA structure doesn't really change over time.
Well, that's not true either. But like, let's go with that. Let's say that it's the DNA that makes you who you are, right? If it was the case that halfway through, or say, let's say that it's like right at the moment when it would gain sentience, the DNA was going to mutate, right? Would you think in that case it's a different person now?
If it is going to be the case that when it gains sentience, like the DNA structure, like changes entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I guess it'd be a different person.
Okay, so if you right now your DNA were to randomly mutate because of like the rays of the sun or something, for example, would you think it's the case that you're a different person now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, you're a different person if you get cancer?
I'm a different person if I get cancer, and that's the thing that like mutates my DNA.
Getting cancer is a mutation of the DNA.
Yeah, sure.
So people who get cancer are different people than people who don't get cancer. Like before you had cancer, or you wouldn't say any person who's had cancer, right? They've never not had cancer. Agree?
Any person who's had cancer, they've never not had cancer.
Yeah, because that would be a different person who didn't have the cancer.
I mean, yeah, sure. I would make the distinction of a person that has had cancer.
So just to make sure that we're on the same page here, so you know what you just agreed with. Anybody who has cancer has never not had cancer.
Yeah, sure. They're going to be the person previously is obviously going to be a different person than the one that's actually had cancer. Yeah.
I wouldn't go with obvious there. I think that the obvious view is that like there are some people who have cancer and they used to not have cancer. That would be the obvious view. But you disagree with what I think most people call their obvious view. But that's fine. Look, if you take a non-standard view there, we'll go with that. Right? Understanding that your view is this, that's just not the kind of thing that I'm talking about or anybody else is talking about when you say that people are valuable. So I don't know, why would I care about this?
Wait, I don't know why you would care about my view regarding like biological numerical identity.
Yeah. Why would I care not about your view in particular, like you having the view or whatever? Why would I care about providing those things with lives or not depriving them? Why would I care about those types of things?
Because I generally, okay, well, if you're trying to see like why exactly you should feel motivated by my view, I feel like that's going to be a rather difficult question to try to sway you on. But personally, I just don't feel that sentience is the kind of thing that gives the human some sort of like inherent moral worth. I don't. Obviously, you would disagree, correct? Since that's your position.
So I think the moment of first experience is what gives you personhood, and that's the kind of thing that we care about when we start building laws out for society. So these are instrumental values. They're not like terminal values or anything along those lines. They're not like root level values. Really, what I care about at the root level is just pleasure minus suffering and true belief. But I don't think it's the case that on the utilitarian view, abortion is bad, because I think that you could obviously offset pretty trivially by just like having another child later on in the line. And those people who have abortions are people with children already.
Okay. What is it about these things that you said like at a first experience is what defines you as a person, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it about these first experiences that make you like valuable in the sense that we ought not kill you?
So the thing about these first experiences that make you valuable in the sense we ought not kill you is the fact that it instantiates the social fiction of personhood. When we build laws and constructs for society on a larger scale, what we have to do is build them on a person basis, because people are the atoms of society.
Okay, so presumably what you're just saying is that the reason why like these first experiences are what makes a person morally valuable is because this is what the law is built around, correct?
Well, I'm not talking about some like terminal moral value, to be clear. I'm talking about instrumental moral value. But yes, the thing that I care about here is how we can build laws, and societies build laws on the basis of people as the atoms of society.
Wait, so why is it the case that you have to build like laws around people and not like human organisms?
Because if we build laws around human organisms, you don't get a utility maximizing society, and I care about utility maximization.
Wait, what? Utility maximization? What's that?
Maximizing well-being.
Maximizing well-being.
To make well-being as much as possible, like to bring about as much well-being as possible in a society. That's what I care about.
Okay, and then well-being is going to be indexed to
the thing described earlier. So there's pleasure minus suffering and true beliefs.
Okay, and only sentient people can have these like things that you're indexing well-being to.
Well, that's not necessary for my claim, but yes, obviously only sentient people can have types of experiences and beliefs.
Okay, that's fine. Do you believe that like there's going to be a period in time where you like stop being a person?
Yeah, of course, when I die.
Okay, when you die, there wouldn't be a case. It wouldn't be the case that, like, for example, if I go into a temporary coma and I wake up, that I'm a new person.
I don't really know what you mean there by a new person.
A new person would, well, at least under your position, right? I'm just like what I'm understanding is that this is like in a sense this is going to be like something indexed to like psychological continuity, while being indexed to
no. It's not indexed to psychological continuity. No.
No, it's not. Isn't it not about something like regarding psychology?
I don't think it's about some fact that it reduces to. Like I've said several times, I think it's a social fiction.
Okay, it's a social fiction. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So then, okay, so you think the only case where you stop being a person is like death? There's like no other instance where you like become a new person.
That's correct.
Oh, okay. And then well, okay, this is what I'm understanding. When I bring up this thing about like a new person, what I'm understanding is simply that, like, for example, when I'm hearing this thing about well-being and then pleasure and all these things, I feel that it is very probable that if, for example, if I get into like this car crash and like I lose my previous experiences because of some like weird scenario and I wake up, I believe, like, at least under your view, you should be committed to say there's a new person there.
Why would I be committed? Can you draw like the premises I've committed to that concludes with that?
Okay, hold on.
Oh, hey guys, real quick, while we're doing that, maybe like 10 or 15 more minutes, and Sinthe, I think Apollo wants to debate you next.
Oh, fucking Christ. Okay, hold on.
Sinthe, you said you were fine for staying like maybe an extra 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hold on, I'm trying to make an inference rule and make sure this argument is actually well structured.
Hey, I mean, how the hell are you guys?
Yeah, goon.
It's the goons.
What's good, goon?
What's going on?
Yeah, it's
I mean, you did bitch repellent, to be clear. I just want to make that abundantly clear. You did bitch him.
Goons, were you interested in debating Synth at all?
I mean, I don't really have time right now. Wait, Sinthe, did you see my... I sent a message in chat, and I tagged you in it. I don't know if you saw it.
Fuck, well, let me scroll up and check it. Let me just see.
Just asking if you were rejecting like an orthodox truth maker theory for like in the moral domain.
It depends on. I mean, you said an orthodox truth maker theory. Like, what constitutes an orthodox truth maker theory?
Well, it's just accepting this principle. I'll just read out the principle. Well, I mean, I can just simplify. Just for every like true moral proposition, is there a truth maker for it? Like in the restrict sense.
I think there's kind of some weirdness about what qualifies as a truth maker, but yeah, I would say yeah.
Okay, and then okay, so in an empty world, are you saying like it's not wrong to like rape and kill babies for fun?
Well, no, even in an empty world, it still would be wrong. I think the truth maker doesn't have to be an ontologically committed fact in the world.
Well, what's the truth maker in the empty world?
The truth maker in the empty world would be the facts about pleasure and stuff. So I think it's a truth maker in some broader sense of truth maker than you might be using. So I don't think the truth makers need to be ontologically committed. I think that you can have analytic truth maker, which is a non-standard view I'd agree.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. Is there anything in the literature with that view, or?
Oh, I'm sure there is. I wouldn't know what to reference. There's probably something up there.
Analytic truth. Okay, so is it true in the same sense that like 1 + 1 = 2?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And it's not. Is it a natural fact that makes it true?
I think we get into weirdness once again. With what constitutes a natural versus a non-natural fact. But I mean, like, I think there's a view on which you can call it a natural fact, and there's a view on which you wouldn't call it one. I'd probably say that I like have issues with the bifurcation there, direct. But I don't know, if like I was trying to just get the vibe across, I'd probably say non-natural.
Okay, so it's a non-natural analytic truth in an empty world. Okay. And is it the same type of truth? Is it the same type of truth as in like this world?
So when you say it's the same type of truth as in like this world,
are the truths in this world analytic and non-natural? That make moral propositions true?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought you were a synthetic naturalist.
I swing back and forth just based on like where I think the distinctions lie of what counts as naturalist versus non-natural, and what counts as synthetic versus analytic. It really is just a semantic dispute. My view is somewhere near the center.
Well, like the objection to a non-naturalist view, well, at least one. I mean, it might not be seen as very powerful, but like the moral argument against non-natural realism. Are you going to like if it turned out that there was some like non-natural stance-independent reason to rape babies? It's kind of like it's kind of the same objection you'd like provide to some divine command theorists or whatever.
I feel like the issue is though this could you could reform this objection for every single view. So it's really probably the least important type of objection, I think. Like if it was the case that it was moral to rape babies, would it be moral to rape babies? But yeah, if there was like if that should be something that everybody should agree with. If there's stance-independent reasons count in favor of it, would it be good to do? Well, yeah, you would just reject the stance-independent reasons count in favor of anything if you don't believe they exist.
Right. Well, people might want to say that they're more confident in it being false. That it's like right to rape babies than they are in the conditional, right? So they might reject the conditional, and that might seem convincing. But I mean, obviously, if you're already committed to moral realism, then might not have much sway.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same kind of argument you can give for like any random like meta, or even just any random semantic thesis from moral talk, right? You can just insert their semantic thesis into the same kind of implication. You can just have like the antecedent can be if raping babies was X, where like X is your semantic thesis, then would it be good to rape babies? And the answer will always be, well, yeah, but like it's not. Of course it would be good if it was good, but it's not good. So who cares?
No, I know. I obviously see what I'm saying. I see what you're saying there. But like you're saying, under your current view, like it'll be wrong, and that's usually the defectiveness in it or whatever. That in the literature they call it a defectiveness in the view. Like because so a subjectivist might say that like at some time t2, my preferences might change, but like right now I'm saying that would be like wrong, right? And so under my current view, I don't take the view that that's right. But the difference there is that you're saying under your current view that it's moral to rape babies if it turned out that there was just some non-natural fact in favor of it. And that might be unintuitive to some people, or
that's like saying. Yeah, but like, I could give the same argument in like a different form to any other theory. I could just say like, if it was the case that under your current view, it was good, it would be good to rape babies. Would it be good under your current view to rape babies? And you just like, yeah, it would be.
Yeah, trivially, yeah. Yeah. No, obviously, yeah. I see the parody there.
Real quick,
are you? Somebody said you're supposed to debate Apollo.
Well, he's getting.
I mean, I already sent the I have like very little time left, but I sent out the argument.
Oh yeah, honestly, I reject P1. I'm saying that the fiction, not.
Your mic. Yo, stop trying to blaze, bro. Stop trying to get loud.
Come on, man. I'm on the phone.
Wait, is Kate coming up?
Test. Is it bad?
You're good. You're good now.
No, you're good.
Alright. Yeah, so I reject P1. Oh no, you go.
Yeah, real quick. After the response, let's just get like one more, two more back and forth from you guys. My mic keeps cutting out, and then we can get Apollo versus Synth.
Please, I want to record it.
Yeah, I guess back and forth. I got blown the fuck out, and it's not just because my points are bad, it's because my points are bad and I'm retarded. Every single time that Synth made a good point, I ran the fuck away from it. And yeah, I think I embarrassed myself sufficiently, so yeah, I guess that's how I'll end it.
That shit was rhetorical.
Jesus. Alright, I'm gonna drop down. See you guys.
See you guys, peace.
Alright, so Poochie, this is your time.
Yeah, oh wait, what did you say? Like, which premise did you regret? I mean,
yeah. What is I reject P1? P3 here. If a person loses all their experiences and their identity is no longer defined by their I reject P3 as well. P4, if a person's identity is no longer defined by their past experiences, then they're a new person. I'd also reject P4. Conclusion, therefore, if a person loses all their experiences, they become a new person. Let's chase here. I think that is valid. P4 would be if a person is no longer defined by their past experiences, they're no longer defined by those past experiences of a person doesn't. Oh, yeah, no, this isn't valid. The conclusion you want to get to is if a person, what does it say? If a person loses, then their identity is no longer defined. Yeah, I don't think this. Also, what P1 seems unrelated to. P1 and P2 both seem unrelated to the conclusion. Like, they seem like if you just have P3 and P4, you still like get to your conclusion here. So I think it is valid, but I think that P1 and P2 are superfluous.
Oh, okay. Did I actually mess up the fucking argument?
Well, the conclusion here is if a person loses all their experiences, they become a new person. And P3 is if a person loses all experiences, then their identity is no longer defined by those experiences. And P4 is if a person's identity is no longer defined by their experiences, then they're a new person. So P3 and P4 would be sufficient for the conclusion. But I reject P3. And I also reject P4. So I neither of those are premises that I'm committed to. I get why you got the impression I was committed to P1. I tried to make it clear a few times that it was a social fiction. It's not actually defined by the experiences. It's like a thing we made up. Personally, it's not real at all. But when we build laws, we build it all in fictions, because laws are fictions too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be the real man here. I really can't show any more rebuttal, so I concede.
Yeah, it was fun talking. I know you just woke up. We'll do it when you're more awake sometime. Drag Apollo bringing up.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm not here to debate, but I do have a couple of questions for you. Driving at the moment, is that cool?
Sure.
Yeah, so there's a couple of issues that I take with the subjectivist thesis about morality. The first one is the sort of semantic thesis, and the second one is about the ontological thesis right now. So if somebody's a subjectivist and they take a control of moral propositions where those things express hypothetical reasons, right? Either in most or all cases, right? Just imagine if you have a case like this. Imagine if you have some case where there's an amoralist um, who has knowledge about all the relevant moral norms. So it's not like they're epistemically, you could say, deprived of all the relevant facts concerning those moral norms. But it's just the case that this specific agent just doesn't have any sort of motivations to converge with the moral norms, right? And let's just also say that this specific agent, wanted to rape a woman, right? Now, do you think that it's the case that on a control of moral propositions, which only express hypothetical reasons, that that specific agent can't even really be held morally accountable in any relevant sense, given that all the reasons are in accord with, or rather, not even in accord with any sort of, categorical reasons not to rape the woman, right?
So I think that there's two big issues that I see with the hypothetical. Like on face value, I think it's incoherent. I don't think there's like a coherent definition of what defines an agent. We can start with that. Maybe we can start with that.
But you don't think? Say it again. You don't think there's a coherent definition of what an agent is?
Yeah.
Well, I guess for the purpose of this hypothetical, you can just conceive of an agent as somebody who has.
No, I mean, the somebody talk is still going to be an issue. Like, I'm a PID eliminativist. I don't think that there are somebodies.
You're an eliminativist about personal identity and stuff like that.
I hold like fictionalism with the person talk.
Okay, so that's fine to say that there's somebody in this case is like a fictional somebody, right? So just imagine like a fictional entity that has an ability to discern from right and wrong. Like, right, they have the sort of epistemic tools by which they can discern from right and wrong courses of action. That's generally what I think most people mean by agent, right? At least a moral agent.
Not clear people mean that, but we'll go with that. So the person is the pseudo person, fictional person. This entity which is making these determinations, right? They're making some determination of right and wrong, and trace out how are they making the determination they're doing wrong too?
Not necessarily that they are current. Well, when you say making, that sort of implies that they're presently making, deliberative decisions or something. But I'm saying, when I say agent, I'm just talking about one that has the, a sort of, I guess you could say, capacity to be able to discern from right and wrong courses of behavior. Right now, it's not necessarily the case that they must presently be deliberating about right and wrong courses of action. Right? It could just be the case that they have that sort of ability to do so. Right?
Yeah, I mean, in this definition, right, then the idea of what an entity is here seems like it can be compatible with some view that like all the things that exist are one unified entity. That's the case. If all the things that exist are one unified entity, then they issue the hypotheticals just as a contradiction in it, which is that the unified entity is not motivated and the unified entity is motivated. And so...
Unified entity? What? I don't understand what you mean by that.
Yeah, so the thing which is doing all of the thing which is doing all, or capable of, or has capacity to do all the recognition stuff, I don't think that, like, I'm not going to even believe in Hexaity regarding particular things. So I'm just assuming there to, like, maybe get to move the argument forward, that you're fine with that being the idea of an entity just being compatible with the idea that all the things that exist are one unified entity.
You said you don't believe in Hexaity?
Yeah. Like this oneness, I think it's another fiction. But like I don't want to get us too fogged up in the mud of that. About what?
Are you a fictionalist about most things?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that before I stepped into the conversation. But yeah, maybe that's sort of another conversation that we can have. But the point is that, do you think that in that hypothetical case scenario, on whatever control of, I guess you could say, agent or whatever it is, do you think that it is the case that that specific amoralist agent, you could call it, does not in fact have any reasons not to rape the woman?
I think that the woman there is like another issue, but like I think that there are reasons. I'm not sure what the idea of having a reason is, as opposed to just there like being reasons, other than the idea that you've got access to the reasons. So if they have knowledge, right, of the fact that like it hurts people when you rape them, right, that it's suffering promoted, right, that it causes this bad state of affairs there, then it seems like they do have the reason. But if you're saying no, they're actually not aware of that, well then I wouldn't say the person's blameworthy. So just like depending on that distinction there, either is the case that I'd say one thing right, which is relatively trivial and not super disagreeable. Whereas this other thing, which is also relatively trivial and not super disagreeable.
Okay, so you would say that it's not the case that they specifically, like the sort of reason there is not indexed to their specific, I guess you could say, stances about it, but rather it just is a fact that there is a reason for them not to rape the woman, despite the fact that all of the relevant stances that they have access to are not converging with those norms.
Well,
right?
No, what I'm saying is, if they don't have access to the fact that this causes suffering, right, like they don't understand what it would be like to be raped, like they just can't grasp it in their mind, and they just think this person's an object, I don't think that person's blameworthy for doing that action. I think they're just like deeply mentally ill. I wouldn't say that that they're a bad person for it. I would just say they're a broken person.
But would you say that? Yeah, but the point is that there's still a reason, right? That counts in favor of.
Yeah, there's a reason they don't have it, right?
There's not a reason if they don't have it. You said.
No, there is a reason. They just don't have it. So they have it. There's like know it, right? They wouldn't know that.
They don't, right? They don't. There's not like a sort of epistemic accessibility relation. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and then the second question is: are you familiar with, like Sellers and McDowell when they talk about conceptualist stuff, right? You're familiar with that?
Yeah, like any relation to myth of the given. Is that where we're going? Yeah.
Yeah. So what? Okay, so how do you feel about those sort of PLA arguments against subjectivism? What's your general thoughts about that?
I mean, I have different thoughts to the different arguments that I've heard brought up. Which one are you thinking?
Just the general one where the sort of so if the subjectivist is taking some view where all of their moral semantics are just such that terms like oughts and should and good and all those things are just reducible down to their preferences, that those sorts of things are not going to be epistemically accessible in such a way where they can enter into rational relations and provide epistemic justification for our moral beliefs, at least in any relevant sense, right? That's the sort of style of argument that I'm alluding to.
No, I think they certainly could. So I think the way you'd have epistemic access to it would just be like normal. The same way I hold the same epistemic view that I hold for every other domain, which is just in order to have a justified true belief in something, it has to be a true belief, and also it has to be one that you've gained through the correct true belief gaining strategies, right? In virtue of those true belief gaining strategies. So
when you say you can have access to it, are you saying that other people outside of the agent, or just the agent themselves have access?
Other people outside of the agent.
And by that, you're just saying that them sort of, I guess you could say, conveying their preferences is what's giving other people access to those relevant information.
Yeah, that's one way it does it. The other ways are like other inductions you can make and other deductions you can make. So like if I see somebody crying, even if they're not actively attempting to communicate their preferences or convey them, I would still say that they're like implicitly conveying them. Or even if I saw nothing about the person, I could just think, well, I know that every other person I've ever met doesn't eat shit. They would think it's bad to eat shit. So this person probably prefers not to eat shit too. Yeah, so without ever meeting the person.
That's consistent with. Okay, so I think that's consistent with what McDowell wants to say. Like you can sort of structure.
I do too. I think that maybe the argument you were providing there is like related to McDowell's, but not identical to.
Well, yeah. I wasn't sort of presenting McDowell's exact argument there, but okay. So it seems like I can agree with you that you can sort of structure preferences in such a way where you can make proper inferences from them, but you agree that preferences themselves sort of lack that conceptual structure, right? Like they themselves are non-conceptual in character, right?
It's not clear to me that they're non-conceptual in character, but I feel like there's like a lot of different definitions of what makes something conceptual.
Well, just take McDowell's definition. Do you think it's conceptual on that definition?
What's his definition?
Just that which is entirely like a type of mental content which is constituted by concepts entirely.
One, what the thing that is confused here, I think, is the definition of what a concept is. Like, what's your account of concept, or what's McDowell's account of concept?
What's the definition of concepts?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have like any sort of joint necessary and sufficient conditions for that.
All right. Well, I mean, just going off of my assumptions about what it might mean, I would say that there are conceptions.
Okay, how do you construe preferences as conceptual items?
Yeah, so I would say that they're concepts in the sense that they're state of affairs occurring in a mind.
State of affairs occurring in a mind.
Yeah, which to me seems to be a concept.
So you don't actually think that there are such things as non-conceptual mental content. You don't think those sorts of things exist. You think any state of affairs that occurs in the mind is in fact conceptual.
I wouldn't hold the non-conceptual mental state.
It's kind of a radical view, no? Like
Probably, but I don't think
there are non-conceptual mental content.
No, I mean, I wouldn't hold that. I'm not even sure if it's most philosophers. I'd probably wager it is. I'd probably assume it's something like 70% or so. But I don't know. Maybe if you got the Phil paper study, it might be different. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd probably say that I'm like fine with it being a minority view among philosophers, regardless of the number.
Yeah, it's a large majority. Okay, Fleur said it in the comments. Conceptual states are mental states that require concepts, not constituted entirely by concepts. Okay, cool. But McDowell holds an externalist account. I assume that you're internalist about concepts then.
Sorry, say again. I got caught up reading Fleur's message in the pop-up chat. My bad. She's saying it's 50-50 in the literature is what she's saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah,
so
that's all the questions that I had left. But I'm gonna drop back down and listen. Are you about to debate Apollo right now?
I hope so.
What are you guys gonna debate?
No.
Okay. Well, good luck. I'm gonna drop back down and listen.
Peace.
Yeah, so there might be a little delay there because Apollo says he has to go pray about 10 minutes or so. He has to go do
He's on his 10th prayer of the day.
Jesus.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we could just get somebody new to serve as a little intermediate section.
Does anyone want to come up and give a halftime show? Saucy, do you want to come up and ask some questions or something?
Saucy. Bring Saucy.
We can get Yotam or Saucy. Or them both, actually.
Let's get Saucy. What do you want to debate about?
Oh, what's up? I just want to know if Sinthe thinks that NTT is successful.
It depends what you mean by successful there.
Yeah, so you don't think
Is it effective? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so you think there's or you don't think there's a trade?
Well, I don't think there is a trade. Maybe you got one.
Yeah, so I think the trade would be something like highest ordered use. And all I mean by that is if it's the case that, the way chickens are going to be most useful to promote the flourishing of persons, if the way they're going to be most useful is to be like chicken parm, then it's morally permissible to kill them for food.
Yeah, so that obviously wouldn't justify most instances of animal suffering, because most instances are not they're not the most useful. They're not utility maximized.
No, but I think it justifies pretty much all instances of factory farming.
Yeah, you think that, and I just told you why it doesn't.
Yeah, well, presumably, right, if charities that are donating to kids in Africa, and not even presumably they are purchasing meat from factory farms, and this is saving millions of kids from being malnourished and dying, then it seems that factory farming does increase the flourishing of human beings, right? You would agree with that.
Well, I would disagree with that, actually. No, I don't think that's what the nonprofits I'm familiar with that are actually effective are doing. They're not buying meat from factory farms, because that's wildly expensive. It would be a really bad strategy. The thing they ought to be doing if they're providing food to kids in Africa is they ought to be giving them a vegan or at least vegetarian diet if they want to make it as effective as possible. And the most effective charities, the ones that you should be donating to, not the ones that are wastes of time doing stupid side projects like fucking food, are the ones that are doing things like malaria nets. Those are the good. If you care about African children, you should go for the malaria net one. And if you had a non-profit that was in Africa and you wanted it to be effective and it was food delivery, right? If you had to be food delivery for some reason, you certainly wouldn't want it to be a non-vegan diet because it's wildly expensive. Plus the shipping costs, Jesus.
You think that meat from factory farms, and I'm not talking about the kind of meat you would buy from the store. I'm talking about the meat that you would purchase in bulk directly from the farms, right? You think that's more expensive than shipping vegan food?
If you're shipping that, yeah, of course it is. But I don't think the alternative is to ship.
Literally every single. I mean, there aren't really sources, but if you were just to look into this for 5 minutes, you would see that it's ridiculous.
Oh, there are no sources, but you've looked into it for 5 minutes. You know a lot about nonprofits now?
Oh, yeah, I do know a lot about nonprofits. Yeah.
Okay, could you tell me what the difference between a 501c3 and a 501c4 is?
No, I have absolutely no idea.
Okay, you have no idea. You have no idea how nonprofits work. Don't ever.
I know it. No.
So there's no source, but you totally think there's no source.
Nonprofits work, right? I said I know what these nonprofits do.
Okay, what's the nonprofit that you're thinking of?
Yeah, and to be clear, it's not just nonprofits; it's also charities. But we could just look at something like a Compassion International or Save the Children. Like these are two good examples of charities that donate to kids in Africa, and they would purchase the food, and they also do other things. They like build houses and shit. But the food they purchase to give to these kids comes from factory farms.
Yeah, so you think it's the cheapest possible option? They've chosen to use factory farms instead of using like beans, for example. Why is it cheaper?
Oh, not instead of just using beans. If you want to meet like some full nutrient profile, because these kids are malnourished, right?
Yeah, so you need beans and rice for a full macro profile. And if you care about vitamins, the cheapest way to do that is for a vitamin supplement.
I didn't say full macro. No, macros are.
You said nutrient. Well, no, macros are not different from nutrients. Macros are a type of nutrient.
Not different. They're a type. They don't meet your full nutrient profile. Like you agree, you can.
Yeah, I gave you micros too. Yeah, that's why I gave you macros and micros.
Oh, you just said macros. It's a little blunder.
No, I didn't. I said the way you can get your macros is from beans and rice alone. Yeah, we'll bet on it. So the way you can get macros, don't you owe me money from a previous bet or something? So
I've never talked to you before.
Pretty sure you might be the same guy. But look, we can.
You're a little bit confused.
Yeah, I think you're definitely the same guy. And you owe me money. So look, here's the thing that I said, and I'll remind you, and you can just like listen back to the recording and you'll hear it. I said if you want to get all your macros, you can get it from beans and rice, and for your micros, you can get it from vitamin supplements. So I said, go listen back.
You didn't say that. You didn't say anything about vitamins.
I did. Listen back.
You think that vitamin supplements, along with purchasing beans and rice, would be less expensive than purchasing factory farming?
Yes, obviously. What the fuck? Yes, of course.
That's the most confused thing ever. Mineral supplements are significantly more expensive.
No, they're not.
They definitely are.
No, that's genuinely insane. Can you provide a source?
I mean, you're the one that made the claim. I would expect you to provide a source.
You just said my claim is insane and deeply confused. Do you have a source? Just yes or no?
Oh yeah, I said your claim is insane, right? I didn't say.
Do you have a source? Yes or no?
Just go ahead and provide the source.
Answer my question.
Are we getting a source or are we getting a dodge?
Well, I think we're getting a dodge is what it looks like. So yes or no to my question?
No, I do think we're getting a dodge. I think Sinthe is dodging the question for a source. Like, I do think that is what's happening.
This is a terrible Goons impersonation. You're not. So just answer my question.
A terrible Goons impersonation.
I'll give you a source if you just answer my question and say you don't have one.
Very rhetorical. I'm glad you said that. That was very, very nice.
What are you doing? Are you just like crashing and burning on purpose?
Yes, I'm crashing and burning. Do you have a source so I can crash and burn while reading the source?
Now you're asking me the question that I asked you. That's crazy. So look, answer my question eventually, and then I'll get. Look, if you just say no, I'll give you my source. Deal?
Oh yeah, no, I don't have one. Give me your source.
Okay, yeah, I got you. So look, the source is Walmart.com. You stupid fuck. Go open up Walmart.com and look at the price.
Oh my gosh, there's
You're so fucking retarded.
There's absolutely no way to.
So let's do it together. Let's do it together. We'll do the comparison.
So incredibly stupid.
We'll do the comparison right now. What's your? What is, in your opinion, the most effective and cost-efficient way that you can provide? That would be resale. Yeah, that would be. You could get. Well, hold on. You understand the distinction is not between bulk and resell.
Do you think that
you can have a? They sell bulk. They sell in bulk.
I'm aware they sell bulk. Do you think they purchase it before?
So you were talking.
Do you think they create the bulk they sell?
They do in fact purchase it from farms and create some of it themselves. They do both.
Wait, so you think Walmart has their own farms where they produce meat?
Yes.
Do you have any source that would suggest that Walmart? And I'm not talking about farms.
Yes, they label it.
No.
Look, you are not well versed on this topic at all. This is so sad. But look, what I'm trying to, I want to move the conversation forward. I understand you want to loop for a little bit. What I need from you is for you to really clearly give me what you think is the most cost-efficient method of getting your micronutrients. What do you think is the most cost-efficient method? Give me specific meats for the specific nutrients.
Oh yeah,
and I'll give you the cheaper vegan.
Yeah, the most cost-efficient way to get these starving, poor, frail, dying African children the nutrients that they need would be to ship them kiwis, and would be to ship them like a fatty meat, like chicken thighs or something, along with rice.
Okay, chicken thighs. Yeah. So you think rice, eggs, and chicken thighs are gonna get you your micros?
Well, just chicken thighs and kiwis would meet all of your micronutrients. Yeah.
And kiwi?
Yeah, chicken thighs and kiwis would meet your entire.
What are you talking about? Kiwis the bird?
No, kiwis the fruit, like the green.
Yeah, that's vegan, stupid. You're retarded.
Oh, that's vegan, stupid. Yeah, you.
Okay, so just to be clear, what you think is you think the cheapest method is going to involve kiwis and chicken thighs and rice. So the only non-vegan thing there is the chicken thighs.
You don't even need to add the rice. The rice is just going to be there to sort of keep
you do need to add the rice. You need it for the carbs.
You don't. No, wait. You think fruits aren't carbs, moron?
No, you're so retarded. This is so embarrassing. Oh
You
no.
might be the dumbest
So
person
look,
I know. You think
you want healthy carbs. You don't want to give people a bunch of sugar that's been bound with fiber as its only way for you to. Why are you trying to pack me up? Like, what is it? What is wrong with you?
Oh my god! Like,
Do you know how to have a conversation like a normal person? You're doing terrible. I understand you think you're doing really well, but you're just not engaging in any arguments and screeching over me the entire time. So look, I'm gonna go through it with you, and I'll explain to you why the chicken answer was a very bad answer. The chicken answer was not a very good answer. So, more effective than chicken and cheaper than chicken, why there's bulk. If you want to compare bulk to bulk, we can do that. Or we can do it resale to resale, or we can do it individual item to individual item, and you can see that if you want to go with the cheapest option, you wouldn't go with chicken, you would go with Sinthe and Seitan. Do you have a counter argument? You don't know anything about this topic. This is so sad.
I don't know what seitan is. It's a sort of meat substitute that tastes like ass. But look, just tell me what nutrients.
Really? Have you ever had it?
No, I haven't. I'm not a retard.
Okay, so it doesn't taste like ass. You don't know what it tastes like.
No.
So answer.
Wait.
So answer the argument that has been provided to you. The argument I provided to you is there's a cheaper alternative, and it's going to hit all of it. It's going to hit your dietary needs better than chicken will.
Yeah, so what nutrients are in seitan, and then list out all the nutrients in your nutrient profile and tell me which nutrients you're getting from it.
No, the problem you're having right now is you're not supposed to be asking me to list out the nutrients. You made a claim that it was the case that it was cheaper. I gave you my argument for it, and now I'm asking you, what is it that the seitan's not meeting? All you have instead is to ask me the question back, because you don't really have arguments. You don't know anything about this.
I'll just Google what nutrients are in seitan. Hold on.
You should do that. You should do your basic due diligence before having a debate.
Yeah, so Apollo just got back from praying. Do you guys want to like cut this short? Do you want to like give conclusions?
No, I want to debate this guy.
Okay, sure.
Alright, so it has selenium, iron, phosphorus, and calcium. That's it. Did you say something else other than that?
What do you think? What else do you think there is that needs to be in there?
Wait, you're aware that your micronutrient profile includes vitamins, retard, right? Like K1, your B vitamins, your C
Yeah,
vitamins,
you gave examples of rice and of kiwis as examples of things that are also going to be in the diet. Those are both vegan, and they contain. I don't know why you're not engaging with the argument. You just want to screech. If your goal in this debate was just to screech the entire time, then we could both pack each other up. Your microphone's dog shit. It's going to be really easy to do that. There's nobody's going to be able to hear you if all you want to do is talk over me while I'm speaking, because my voice comes through louder than yours does. What you should do instead of trying to talk over the entire time is try your best to engage with the fucking argument.
Let's see.
Yeah, let's see you engage with the argument.
There we go. Seitan doesn't include all the B vitamins, retard, so it's not meeting the nutrient.
Wow, it doesn't include all the B vitamins? You said it includes no vitamins.
It doesn't. Sorry, it doesn't meet your micronutrient profile, retard. Look, and if you want to sit there,
Do you think this is helping your argument? You're spurring like a motherfucker.
Look, if you want to spurg because your mic is louder and you want to act like a little girl that we all know you want.
You wanted to do that.
If you want to bitch.
You said that seitan doesn't include vitamins. Is that something you still believe after doing a little bit of research on it?
We can do that. So just let me know when you find a food that meets.
Does seitan contain vitamins, yes or no?
It does, yeah.
Were you wrong when you said it doesn't contain vitamins?
Ooh, that's not what I said. I said it doesn't contain all the vitamins necessary to meet the.
No, you didn't. You said that how is seitan going to meet your nutrient needs? You need vitamins for your microbes. That's what you said.
Yeah. I'm gonna need you to stop being a moron and answer the question.
You're doing terrible. Do you think this shit's rhetorical? This is what you do. You're doing the full animated thing where you just spaz out with as many words as possible because you think for some fucking reason it's gonna help dig you out of the fucking argument. You clearly said that the reason why it doesn't meet your nutritional goals is because the micros you need include vitamins, and it does in fact include vitamins.
Biological man to ever PMS. Look, just answer the question and stop bitching.
What question do you think you asked?
You're so fucking bird tracking. Oh my god. Give me a food that meets
No, nobody's not.
The vitamins in your micronutrient.
I don't need to give you a food. You didn't do that. You gave a combination of food.
Yeah, combination works too, moron.
Yeah, and the combination of foods you had included vegan foods.
Oh dear, are you this fucking stupid?
I've already given you the combination of foods.
You didn't give me the combination because kiwis also contain vitamins.
Yes or no? Did I give you the combination of? Like yes or no? Did I give you the combination of? Yes or don't spaz? Don't spaz. Don't spaz. It's not your turn to spaz right now, right? It's my turn to spaz. You don't spaz. So listen closely to what I'm saying. Yes or no? Did I list out beans, rice, and vitamin supplements as 3 things which in combination will meet your macro and micro needs? Yes or no?
You did do that. The vitamins are still.
Okay, so when you said I didn't give you a list of food or a combination of food, that was wrong, correct?
Didn't that was less expensive, moron. Start tracking.
Yes or no? Did I give you a list of food or combinations of food?
No, you did that. That just didn't answer my question.
So when somebody were to say in this debate, just hypothetically, since you totally didn't say it, you said hypothetically, if somebody in this debate were to say that I hadn't done that, they'd be a fucking retard. Yes?
Oh yeah, if they were to say you hadn't done that, right?
Yeah, they'd be a fucking retard.
I agree.
Yeah, and you're retarded then. Thank you.
Oh, and you're retarded then. Look, this moron is still not tracking.
That's the saddest shit I've ever heard.
What I said to you was one which is less expensive.
It is less expensive. Why do you think it's more expensive?
It's not less expensive. You've yet to demonstrate.
Why do you think it's more expensive?
Why do I think it's more expensive? Because I have no evidence to suggest that it's not.
Say that again. Why do you think it's more expensive?
Because I have no evidence to suggest that it's not.
Kill yourself.
Look, nobody can hear you when you're cooking. Turn the mic down.
That's so bad. No way. Say that one more time. Why do you think it's not more expensive? Why do you think it's more expensive?
I'll say it one more time. Look, one more time. You want me to say it slowly?
Yeah, I'll say it real slow.
Because I have no evidence that it's not.
You're embarrassing the fuck out of yourself. You're really dumb.
Oh my gosh, this retard is like so low.
Your argument is actually so bad that everyone in the audience right now, unanimously, every single member of this audience knows the problem with your argument. I don't even have to say it. Everyone knows why you're wrong. You're just a fucking retard.
Yeah, so does me saying I have no evidence that my claim is false mean that I have no evidence my claim is true?
What the fuck are you trying to say?
Yeah. So you asked me, why do I believe this? I said, I have no evidence to suggest that I'm wrong. Do you think that also means I have no evidence to suggest that I'm right?
Yes, because that's the reason why you said you believe it, is because of your lack of evidence against it. So if you had never researched, just to be clear, hold on, I want to ask one thing and we can end the debate here. Saucy, do you have any evidence to believe that Joe Biden did not dick down your mom? Do you have any evidence?
Oh, yes, I have tons of evidence to believe that.
Really?
Yes.
Did you see him not dicking down your mom?
Yes, I've actually observed.
What if he fucked your mom while you weren't looking?
Ooh, but I haven't never looked at my mom, right? I've always been looking.
Yeah, but what if he was just doing it while you weren't looking?
Alright,
do you have any evidence that Joe Biden? Do you have any evidence against the claim that Joe Biden fucked your mom while you weren't looking?
Just be clear, look, just so we can end this.
He watches his mom in the shower.
Absolutely.
Get this retard off the stage. Dragon down.
We're gonna move on. Thank you, Saucy, for that. But yeah, Paul, you can debate Sinthe.